There is indeed more. Su Jingxing perked up. These fellows. They insisted that there were only the stones earlier on. Now that there is a flag, it's clear they intentionally concealed it. One can probably tell that this flag is extraordinary with the naked eye. That's why this bunch of people deliberately chose to ignore it. Yet, they're starting to panic and want to get rid of it now. What kind of flag could have been discovered together with the soul-nurturing stone? Su Jingxing thought to himself. He held his breath and continued listening. Must we deal with it? Why? You want to keep it until it's exposed? That big client already has his eyes on us. He's a 4th-grade martial artist. Are you sure you want to go toe-to-toe with him? That's not what I meant. I just find it a pity. We can tell at one glance that this flag isn't an ordinary item. In my opinion, it looks a little like an ancient war flag. It does look a lot like a war flag. In ancient times, anything that could be chosen to be a war flag would have a certain use, which makes it a rare treasure or a spirit weapon. It doesn't matter whether it's a rare treasure or a spirit weapon. Is there anyone here who can control it? Why have you stopped talking? Keep going. Since no one can control it, are we going to court death by keeping it? Things haven't progressed to that stage yet, Old Lee. The situation is a little chaotic right now, and we are being targeted. For the sake of everyone's safety, we decided to take care of this flag. That's right. If I'm not mistaken, the mysterious stone tablet, the soul-nurturing stone and this flag all came from the same place. They only reappeared because of the commotion in the Sky-Water River and were discovered. Now, we know what kind of treasure the soul-nurturing stone is and that the flag is also very special. Needless to say, all the major factions in the city are vying for the mysterious stone tablet. If we keep the flag, not only will the big client who bought the soul-nurturing stone come looking for us, all the major factions in the city will as well. Rather than being forced to hand over the flag then, we might as well get rid of it now. The question is, how should we deal with it? Look at it. It's been charging for more than a month, and it doesn't seem to have any intention of stopping. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I could never imagine a flag that could eat electric currents. That's because you. Ooh. Crack. Crack. What's going on? Power failure? No, look at the flag. Shouts of alarm filled the room. Su Jingxing even heard the sound of an electric arc exploding. It seems like there's a blackout. And the flag that is surrounded by a bunch of people has undergone some sort of change. Just as he was pondering. Bam! A loud crack broke the silence. Su Jingxing, who was leaning against a corner, looked out the window when he heard the commotion. He saw a dark shadow breaking through the night sky and flying into the distance. The war flag. The charging flag escaped. As soon as the thought emerged in his mind, Su Jingxing was already moving. Similarly, he darted out of the window at lightning speed and soared into the night sky. His speed increased to the maximum as he locked onto the black shadow and gave chase swiftly. However, Su Jingxing soon realized that he wouldn't be able to catch up to it with his lightness skill. He decisively took out the thunderbolt, enlarged it, and stepped on it. Driving it with the divine spirit control technique, he traveled at the speed of sound at once. Then, his speed doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled and sextupled. Back when he was at the limits of the human body, Su Jingxing could only fly at 4 times the speed of sound. After obtaining the Transcendent Body card, his physique had undergone a qualitative change. His maximum speed could now reach 6 times the speed of sound. With this speed, he managed to catch up to the black shadow. When he got close enough to his target, he realized that the black shadow was indeed a large and wide flag. It was entirely black, and only had a crimson moon embroidered on the upper right comber. At this moment, this flag was flying through the air at high speed, tearing through the night wind and flapping in the wind. The direction it was flying towards was the Green Cloud Mountain. Both of them were flying at high speeds. Su Jingxing chased after the flag. One after another, they soon arrived above the Green Cloud Mountain. Whoosh! After entering the borders of the Green Cloud Mountain range, the war flag suddenly accelerated and charged into the depths, disappearing from sight. Su Jingxing followed suit and flew out of the Green Cloud Mountain range. But the war flag was gone. He lost it. It stayed on Green Cloud Mountain. Su Jingxing turned around and returned to the Green Cloud Mountain range. This time, he slowed down and circled around the depths of the Green Cloud Mountain. He paced back and forth in the sky, sensing for the fluctuations of the war flag. Finally, he sensed something deep in the center. However, he couldn't pinpoint the exact location. It seemed like the fully charged war flag had found its source. The source of the Sky Water River was none other than Green Cloud Mountain. Compared to the place where the Flying Lions members sealed themselves, the place where Su Jingxing was currently loitering was the true center and deepest part of the Green Cloud Mountain range. There were many stories going around about the center region of the Green Cloud Mountain range. Some said that the strongest experts had been buried here, some said that there were peerless treasures buried deep in the center, and others said that Green Cloud Mountain was a burial ground, and the center of it all was a cemetery. Different versions of various stories had been circulating for more than 1,000 years. No one knew the truth. While the disappearance of the war flag in this region served to confirm that there were secrets in this center area, it also highlighted the extraordinary nature of the war flag. Su Jingxing hovered in the air, pondering the matter for a while, but eventually decided against investigating it. Firstly, he had no idea where the war flag came from or what its specific function was. Even if he found it and kept it in his possession, it might not be of use to him. Secondly, when Su Jingxing was listening in on the group's conversation earlier, he thought that one of the men was very right. The mysterious stone tablet, the soul-nurturing stones, and the war flag all came from the same place. If these three items came from the same place, it meant that they might have some sort of connection. Su Jingxing had 7 soul-nurturing stones in his possession. If he went back and studied them carefully, he might be able to find out what this connection was. Thirdly, there was a high chance that the war flag wouldn't leave again after returning to this place. There was no need for Su Jingxing to search for it urgently. Keeping it here wouldn't affect him much. Finally, there was danger in the center region of the Green Cloud Mountain range. The level of danger was quite high. Even though no one knew what it was, Su Jingxing could feel an indistinct threat coming from the ground as he flew through the air. If he landed down rashly, he might end up getting into trouble there. With these factors combined, Su Jingxing decisively left and returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. The first thing he did when he got back was to take out the 7 soul-nurturing stones and put them together to see if he could find any secrets. Unfortunately, he couldn't find anything even after examining them for a long time. Apart from the strange sense of comfort growing stronger with the increase in the number of stones, there was nothing else. They did not contact the war flag or the mysterious stone tablet at all. In the end, Su Jingxing had no choice but to give up and put away the 7 soul-nurturing stones, ignoring them. Only when he had a complete set of 12 soul-nurturing stones would they be effective. Su Jingxing had no idea where the last 5 pieces were, so he could only keep them for now. He decided to leave this matter aside temporarily. Su Jingxing took out the card he had extracted from Di Donglei's corpse. The function card from a 4th grade expert should not disappoint. Skill cards or true energy cards were both fine. However, when he held the card in his hand and read the information, the feedback he received stunned him. Memory card. He had actually extracted the memories of Di Donglei's life. Su Jingxing unlocked the card and watched Di Donglei's life as though it were a movie. Ever since he was a child, this sect master of the Divine Fist sect had been the center of attention. Be it in school, practicing martial arts, or wooing girls, he was the envy of others. After all, Di Donglei's father was the previous sect master of the Divine Fist sect. Di Donglei was a second-generation martial artist who had inherited his father's legacy. Of course, he was also very talented. 10 years ago, he had stepped into the 4th grade. Similar to Su Jingxing, half of his 90-year true energy cultivation had been converted into true fluid. The martial art true intent he wanted to condense was a statue. That's right. In Di Donglei's memory, there was a statue left behind by his father. It held great significance and could be used as a weapon. It was incomparably tough. When Di Donglei's father was alive, he had also condensed a statue as his martial art true intent. However, he had only succeeded halfway before dying. When the statue was handed to Di Donglei, he spent days and nights trying to figure it out, but to no avail. However, he had learned about the origin of the statue from his father before his death. The Celestial Pole Sect. An ancient sect that had existed for over 1,000 years and was on the same level as the 100-Flower Valley, the Celestial Pole Sect. Di Donglei's father turned out to be a disciple of the Celestial Pole Sect when he was young. However, due to an incident, he was evicted from the sect. That was when he returned to Qinghe City and established the Divine Fist sect. Di Donglei's father had not shared what incident it was. The old man simply handed some of his belongings to Di Donglei. The strange statue was one of them. There were also a few scrolls of beast skin parchment that contained secret affairs. These beast skin parchments had given Di Donglei a lot of information that he didn't know. For example, the location of the Celestial Pole Sect. For such ancient sects that had existed for more than 1,000 years, the entrances to their sects would always be hidden by massive array formations. Ordinary people or average martial artists would never be able to locate them. However, Di Donglei learned of the location of the Celestial Pole Sect through the beast skin parchments, as well as the way to enter the array formation. Another example was the general situation of the major factions in the 18 prefectures of the U-Nation. There were introductions to organizations like Cian Bank, the Golden Qin family, the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce and so on. Another example, beyond the 1st grade was the Transcendent grade. On Earth Star, Transcendent grade martial artists had a unique title. Martial Sage. Su Jingxing had no idea about this either. Ethereal Sword Immortal did not mention it, nor was she aware. Thanks to Di Donglei's memories, Su Jingxing was able to glean this secret information from the contents of the beast skin parchments. Transcendent grade martial artists were also known as martial sages. According to the contents of the beast skin parchment, the title, Martial Sage, would often carry 2 more words in front. Kingdom Defending. Why were they called the Kingdom Defending Martial Sages? There were no records about that on the beast skin parchment, and Di Donglei had no way of learning about it. When his father was alive, he never told him these secrets. All he knew was that a nation's dynasty would collapse quickly without a martial sage. This had been the case since ancient times. This must be the origin of the kingdom-defending martial sage, Di Donglei had guessed. When Su Jingxing saw this, his heart skipped a few beats uncontrollably. Every nation had a martial sage. Wouldn't that mean that with 13 nations in the eastern continent and 9 countries in the western continent, that there were 22 martial sages on the continents alone? Yet, the world did not know about the existence of martial sages, they only knew about the strongest 1st grade. Most martial artists, and even 3rd grade powerhouses, were also unaware. Su Jingxing couldn't figure out the reason for this. In short, through Di Donglei's memories, Su Jingxing's horizons had broadened. Above 1st grade was the Transcendent grade. Martial artists in this grade were also known as kingdom-defending martial sages. Every martial sage could live for 360 years. This was the increase in lifespan due to the change in life levels when one moved from 1st grade to the Transcendent grade. Lu Chenglong made Su Jingxing swear an oath to protect the U-Nation for 100 years. From the looks of it, that seemed somewhat unnecessary. Even though they ultimately negotiated the duration to be only 10 years, with martial sages guarding the world, would they need a young man like him, who wasn't even a third-grade martial artist, to protect it? Watching till the end of Di Donglei's memory, Su Jingxing was filled with excitement. The mysterious stone tablet that all the factions in the city were after actually had to do with the legacy of the martial sages. Not the martial sages of the Yu nation, but the martial sage of the dynasty before Yu nation came to be. The Crimson Moon Martial Sage. The Crimson Moon Martial Sage, Yu Donglu. This was the secret information that Di Donglei had learned from the beast skin parchments. However, in the historical records, Yu Donglu was merely a prince of the previous dynasty. The Prince of Crimson Moon. According to records, the Prince of Crimson Moon, Yu Donglu had kept an extremely low profile in the imperial family of the previous dynasty and wasn't particularly strong. No one knew how he died in the end. It had been 1,000 years since his era. Di Donglei made a conclusion after comparing the contents of the beast skin parchments with the patterns on the mysterious stone tablet. This stone tablet was related to the legacy of the Crimson Moon. He even suspected that the major forces who were attending the auction at the Myriad Treasures Court tonight also knew about this. That the mysterious stone tablet was closely related to the legacy of the Crimson Moon. Or rather, if one found the secret of the stone tablet, they would be able to locate the legacy ground left behind by Crimson Moon Martial Sage. The legacy of the Martial Sage was many times stronger than the treasures stored in the mausoleum of Prince Qin. It was reasonable for the major factions to go crazy over it. On that note, Di Donglei was only suspicious. The reason why he had taken advantage of the situation to seize the soul-nurturing stone from the Myriad Treasures Court was to verify this theory. According to the beast skin parchments, the Prince of Crimson Moon, Yu Donglu seemed to have obtained the legacy of the Great Moon Empire from 3,000 years ago. Unfortunately, Su Jingxing ultimately got lucky. Through the charged war flag that rushed to the center area of the Green Cloud Mountain Range on its own accord, Su Jingxing could almost be certain that Di Donglei's guess was correct. The mysterious stone tablet, the soul-nurturing stones, and the war flag were all related to the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. It was highly likely that the depths of the center of the Green Cloud Mountain Range was the legacy ground of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage, Yu Donglu. T.S. Su Jingxing sucked in a cold breath of air at the thought. This is too shocking, really too shocking. The secret had been revealed too quickly, too fiercely, and too shockingly. Su Jingxing was momentarily stunned. After a while, he took deep breaths to calm himself down and mulled over the situation. If the depths of the center of the Green Cloud Mountain Range is really the legacy ground of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage, what could be the function of the mysterious stone tablet that all the factions are vying for? A map? A key? Su Jingxing couldn't figure it out. This matter was getting more complicated. Even though not many people knew about the existence of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage, quite a number did right now. They were currently limited to the factions in Qinghe City. Once the news got out. No. Hasn't the 100-Flower Valley already sent people to Qinghe City? The disciple who was reduced to a mummy couldn't have come to Qinghe City because of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage, could she? A gleam flashed across Su Jingxing's eyes. If that's the case, then the murderer who murdered a disciple of the 100-Flower Valley must have been after the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. How did they know that the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage is in Qinghe City? Photos? Yes, the photo. Leng Lin took a photo of the mysterious stone tablet by the river and out of curiosity, uploaded it online, thereby attracting the attention of relevant insiders. The 100-Flower Valley has Wang Taidao, the Changyang Prefecture army has garrisoned troops, and Lu Wuchang came to Qinghe before the new year. Through who did the murderer of the disciple from the 100-Flower Valley find out about the photo of the stone tablet then? Or has the murderer been in Qinghe City all this time? Su Jingxing narrowed his eyes. After a series of analyses, he was pretty close to the truth. Even though he had no idea who the murderer was, Su Jingxing had a strong hunch that this murderer and the Black Shadow who had stolen the stone tablet from the Myriad Treasures Court's auction were most likely the same person. This person had been in Qinghe City the whole time. The target of these factions was the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. With this in mind, for some reason, Su Jingxing began to look forward to seeing the Crimson Moon's legacy. This is a martial sage's legacy. Anyone will be tempted by it. We just don't know what the legacy contains. I will be at a loss for words if it turns out to be the same as the treasure in the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Even though Lu Chenglong's martial art True Intent, the Sisui Horn Dragons, was pretty good, and the materialized worldly energy ball was also very good, none of the rare treasures and spirit weapons that Lu Chenglong owned when he was alive were placed in the mausoleum. Even the defensive transcendent body card was something that Su Jingxing obtained using his own cheat ability. The legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage shouldn't be that petty. It should contain a lot of good stuff, right? Su Jingxing thought to himself. However, there were many people who wanted the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. Even if Su Jingxing was tempted, there was nothing he could do. Now that the mysterious stone tablet had been snatched away, no one knew whose hands it had ended up in. Everyone had their eyes on the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. It would be extremely difficult to get hold of it. Of course, compared to others, Su Jingxing had at least one more advantage. That was to say, there was a 90% chance that he had discovered the location of the legacy of the Crimson Moon Martial Sage. Deep in the center of the Green Cloud Mountain Range. It wouldn't be easy for others to find that place. Opening the legacy ground was yet another troublesome matter. Therefore, Su Jingxing had all the time in the world to slowly come into contact with the legacy ground. Before that, he had to get stronger. After watching all the memories, Su Jingxing took out the Buddha Flame Root. This treasure was a chip to increase his strength. By infusing it with the heaven-trampling true energy, its power would be boosted. As for how to consume the Buddha Flame Root. Instinctively, Su Jingxing locked onto the Dragon Melting Cauldron. Boiling it in the Dragon Melting Cauldron could 100% preserve its energy, and the resulting potions would be easier to absorb and digest. With this in mind, Su Jingxing took out the Dragon Melting Cauldron and controlled his true energy to cleanse this spirit weapon cauldron. Having been used by the He family to boil human flesh and blood for hundreds of years, the residual aura on the Dragon Melting Cauldron was extremely strong. Su Jingxing cleansed it with his true energy. A day wasn't enough. He continued on the second day and the third. On the morning of the fourth day, he finally managed to get rid of all the residual aura on the Dragon Melting Cauldron. Satisfied, he placed the flaming Buddha root into the Dragon Melting Cauldron. Su Jingxing, who had been exuding his true energy for 4 days, did not immediately expend his true energy to boil the pot. Instead, he stopped to rest and recover. The amount of true energy required to cleanse the Dragon Melting Cauldron was limited. The true excessive consumption came with burning true energy to cook the Buddha flame roots. Each time the He family cooked, they had 3 people taking turns. This was because the flow of true energy could not stop during the cooking process. Therefore, since Su Jingxing had to boil the pot alone, he had to persevere all the way at once. He wondered if more than 800 years of true energy cultivation was enough. Fortunately, Su Jingxing had a true energy card reserves that could replenish his true energy anytime. That was where his confidence lay. After a short break, he was about to put the lid back on the pot when a bright blade beam flashed across the sides of the pot. What's going on? Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows, removed the lid, and scrutinized the sides. The Dragon Melting Cauldron that had been cleansed was bright and clean, similar to an ordinary, enlarged version of a clay pot. But on closer inspection, one would find that it was made of metal, with black on the outside and golden on the inside. Had Su Jingxing not been sharp-eyed enough and missed the flash of the blade, he would have thought it was a reflection on the inside. He inspected the pot carefully, his eyes fixed on the golden inner walls. 5 minutes later, another blade beam flashed past. Why are there blade flashes on the walls? Or is this the effect of the dragon melting cauldron? To slice through the food stored within using the flickering of blade beams? Su Jingxing was in thought. A moment later, he took out the Buddha flame root. Then, he focused his attention on sensing the dragon melting cauldron. Swish! As soon as they came into contact, the strange sound of a blade aura slicing through flesh resounded in Su Jingxing's mind. Swish! Then, there was another slash. Swish! Swish! Slashes came one after another. It seemed like there really was a saber on the inside of the dragon melting cauldron that was moving and slicing through the air. But that was only on the surface. Su Jingxing's soul power was powerful enough. The strange sound of the blade energy slicing through flesh echoed in his mind, but it did not affect his soul or mind. It was like a piece of recorded music. The dragon melting cauldron was the medium and anyone with a spiritual connection could hear it. However, as he focused his senses on the music and continued deepening his perception, Su Jingxing really did hear the sound of a blade vibrating. No one knew where the blade was, but due to a certain connection it had with the dragon melting cauldron, its vibration could be heard through the dragon melting cauldron. The direct expression of that was blade beams flashing on the inner walls of the dragon melting cauldron. Blade, pot. Could it be that this blade from who knows where is part of a set with the dragon melting cauldron? They were crafted together. And that's why they share a connection. Su Jingxing started working his brains. He recalled that the spirit weapon kitchen knife he Lyran used when he was alive might not have been the original one. The unknown blade was the true match for the dragon melting cauldron. The He family had most likely gotten the kitchen knife by themselves subsequently. The He family didn't know that the dragon melting cauldron came with a special blade, or rather, they knew, but could not get their hands on it. That would explain the mysterious connection between the blade gleam and the dragon melting cauldron. The blade exclusive to the dragon melting cauldron has been vibrating non-stop. This means that this blade is also a spirit weapon, and it hasn't acknowledged a master. It was impossible for such a situation to happen to a spirit weapon with an owner. There was definitely something wrong with it if it kept vibrating non-stop. Where is the blade? Su Jingxing's interest was piqued. It was an exclusive blade of the dragon melting cauldron, and a spirit weapon that had yet to recognize its owner. If he could get his hands on it, his strength would undoubtedly be significantly boosted once again. Thunderbolt required charging, and he dared not use it recklessly. A blade exclusive to the dragon melting cauldron shouldn't have a problem. He could use it as he pleased. The question was, where was it? The connection between it and the dragon melting cauldron had been established from the very beginning thanks to the custom effects of spirit weapons. It had nothing to do with distance. Therefore, he had to think of another way to find the blade. Injecting true energy. It didn't work. The blade beam continued to flash at a fixed frequency, but the dragon melting cauldron did not react. Heating the bottom of the cauldron with true energy? It was useless. The nature of the dragon melting cauldron determined its function. The connection it had with the blade was only an exception. Yet when he really got into contact with it, there was nothing unusual. He increased his soul power to continue sensing, but he could still hear the vibration after some time. It became faster and slower, but never changed. Su Jingxing tried all kinds of methods, but to no avail. Hold on. Suddenly, Su Jingxing recalled something. The dragon melting cauldron was Lu Chenglong's spirit weapon when he was alive, even if it was just used for cooking. If Lu Chenglong wanted to control it, would that also establish a connection? The tool used for the connection was the martial art True Intent, the Sisui Horn Dragons. With that in mind, Su Jingxing released the Sisui Horn Dragon and it circled him once. Finally, it dived straight into the dragon melting cauldron. Buzz! The dragon melting cauldron let out a tremor and distorted the air. Under the stimulation of the Sisui Horn Dragon, the dragon melting cauldron, which had been inactive earlier, suddenly shook violently. Tap tap tap. The bottom of the dragon melting cauldron touched the ground, emitting strange sounds. Like it was dancing, shaking non-stop. At this moment, the entire cauldron seemed to come alive. The inner walls shone brightly with golden light, and a black horned dragon was circling around the outer wall of the pot. From time to time, it would raise its head and roar into the sky. Roar. Buzz. Roar. Buzz. A dragon's roar and a buzzing vibration echoed one another at a distance. At an unknown distance, the dragon melting cauldron and its exclusive blade were successfully connected, calling out to each other. Through this connection, Su Jingxing finally sensed the exact location of this blade. Southwest. To his southwest, but it was unknown how far away it was. However, as long as he flew in the southwest direction, he would be able to find this exclusive blade. If the connection broke midway, he would be able to re-establish it by releasing the Sisui horned dragons and putting it into the dragon melting cauldron. Therefore, Su Jingxing was going to take this blade. Compared to a spirit weapon, he was no longer in a hurry to fuse with the Buddha flame root. Putting away the dragon melting cauldron and the Buddha flame root, Su Jingxing quickly left the house. After putting on his equipment, he got ready to head southwest. However, as soon as he entered the back mountain and soared into the sky, he heard a loud bang coming from Qinghe City. Boom! A dull explosion resounded through half of Qinghe City. Su Jingxing stopped in his tracks and looked towards the source of the sound. In the air above the region between the western and southern districts, two figures were clashing fiercely, launching powerful attacks at each other. As they fought, they rose into the air or charged towards the ground. One of them was a black-robed figure whose face could not be seen clearly. The other was a long-haired woman with an extraordinary aura. She was noble and elegant. She swung a long sword and fought the black-robed man. The two of them attacked without any scruples. As her sword swung down, if the sword energies were not dispersed, they would rush to the ground or slice tall buildings in half. Huge cracks appeared on the ground, and all the glass on both sides of the road had shattered. Some of the innocent people who were unable to dodge in time died on the spot, and miserable cries sounded non-stop. Likewise, the black-robed man struck out with his palm like the wind, transforming his claws into evil spirits. In a flash, he released claw winds that tore through the air, destroyed buildings, and shattered houses. In less than half a minute, the two of them had destroyed 2 streets. Stop! Before Su Jingxing could make a move, an angry yell resounded in the city. Swish! A blinding light, accompanied by a huge shadow, rushed out of a building towards the two people fighting in the air. Rip! Boom! The strange sound of air tearing spread through half the city. The huge explosion sounded like a missile detonating, emitting intense light and heat. Swoosh! 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 Spear shadows. Dense spear shadows surrounded the long-haired woman and the black-robed man in the midst of the backlight, forcing them to burst into the sky. Yen Zi. I can understand your desire for revenge, but please go somewhere else for that. Go outside the city and into the mountains. You can vent all you want. Even if you blow up the mountain, no one will care. A deep roar reverberated through the air. A tall figure charged into the sky with a spear in hand. In a low position, he issued a warning to the long-haired woman in the high position and took action. As he spoke, the spear in his hand brought with it waves of backlight, forcing the black-robed man to continuously retreat, retreat, and retreat. Until... Roar! A hideous snake with 3 heads and a length of more than 10 meters stretched out from behind the black-robed man's head. It pounced at the tall figure with a snarl. It swallowed the spear shadows that the other party had thrust out one by one. Whoosh! Flowers bloomed under the long-haired woman's feet at the right time, and the air around her distorted. A huge peony flower appeared out of thin air in front of everyone. The flower spun, and the stamen emitted gas. The long-haired woman sat on it. With a wave of her hand, she controlled the peony flower to crush the rightmost head of the three-headed snake. Roar! The remaining two heads of the snake roared sinisterly. The black-robed man controlling it suddenly flashed. With a bang, he turned into a black mist and exploded in the air. Trying to escape. The long-haired woman shouted coldly as she sat on the peony flower and formed seals with her hands. Swish! The peony flower swiftly flew south like a high-speed jet. Humph! The tall figure held his spear in his hand and chased after them. They were very fast. One after another, they disappeared into the air. When the chaotic aura in the sky dissipated completely, the sky was clear again. On the ground, the hiding crowd finally returned to the street. Looking at the sky, they shouted, yelled, and discussions rose. Those who suffered an undeserved catastrophe, and died, or were severely injured could only accept their bad luck. This was because this was the result of the aftermath of the battle between two third-grade experts. There was nowhere to seek justice. Had it not been for the tall figure with the spear coming out to stop them, the damage would have been more than 2 streets. If third-grade experts were to fight freely, the terrifying aftermath could turn half of Qinghe City into ruins. Who are these two people? Su Jingxing stopped in midair and frowned in thought. Yanzi. The long-haired woman is called Yanzi. Her martial art true intent is a peony flower. Wait, flower. Su Jingxing's eyes lit up. He thought of something and murmured in a low voice, is this woman from the 100-Flower Valley? That's right. She's probably the elder from the 100-Flower Valley who came to investigate their disciples' cause of death. TM not sure about black-robed man. And the tall man with the long spear, he's most likely the reinforcement for the Martial Suppression Office, a third-grade expert, a universal envoy. Tunder what grade the universal envoy who uses a spear is in? Su Jingxing murmured. 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 1st grade were collectively called the top ranks. What grade would this tall man with a spear be in? Heh, who cares what grade he's in, as long as he's in the top ranks. Su Jingxing shook his head and laughed. Now that an expert of the Martial Suppression Office had arrived in Qinghe City, the major factions in the city had to settle down even if they didn't want to. Tunder how many people came? Su Jingxing muttered and turned around to continue his journey. Whoosh! He took out Thunderbolt and enlarged it. Stepping on it, he wrapped his entire body with true energy and circulated the divine spirit control technique. The man and sword headed southwest. As he was searching for the exclusive blade of the dragon melting cauldron, he did not dare to move too fast. He maintained double the speed of sound and flew in the sky. Hoo! 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 Strong winds howled in his ears, and the ground retreated beneath his feet. Before long, Su Jingxing left Changyang Prefecture. As he was controlling a spirit weapon, he did not have to worry about the interference of chaotic magnetic fields from certain places on the ground. High in the air, Su Jingxing was flying in a straight line. He flew southwest at double the speed of sound. Every time a bird in the sky came close, he circulated the pressure from 800 years of true energy cultivation to repel it far away. He ensured that there were no obstructions on the way and proceeded steadily. After flying out of another prefecture, Su Jingxing took out the dragon melting cauldron and released the Sisui horned dragons into it, restoring the connection guiding him. Perhaps due to the shortening of the distance, the connection between the dragon melting cauldron and the blade became stronger. Su Jingxing simply held the dragon melting cauldron in his hands and followed this increasingly strong connection into another prefecture. The Xifang Prefecture. He flew past half of the prefecture and arrived above a vast forest. At this point, the connection between the dragon melting cauldron and its exclusive blade had climbed to the highest level. Flying above the sea of trees, he sniffed the fragrance in the air. Su Jingxing stopped when he was above a stretch of ancient tree that was hundreds of meters tall. He had arrived at his destination. Outside of this area, the connection between the dragon melting cauldron and the blade became weaker. When he returned here, it became stronger. This change clearly told Su Jingxing that this area was where the exclusive blade was. The lush forest was filled with the fragrance of dozens of miles. This also told Su Jingxing where this place was. The 10 miles fragrance forest. A forest where its fragrance could be picked up from 10 miles away. It was a famous perilous land in the Xifang prefecture and Yu nation. Although the depths of the Green Cloud mountain range were also dangerous, it was not a perilous land. But the 10 miles fragrance forest was. It was clear how dangerous this place was. This was especially true for the area where Su Jingxing was currently. Old trees that were hundreds of meters tall, huge tree crowns, dense leaves and branches that extended out were crowded together, completely concealing the situation on the ground. A place like this was clearly perilous. If it were anyone else, even if they were in the 5th grade or 4th grade, they would not dare to step into it easily. But Su Jingxing wasn't afraid. His powerful perception swept downwards, he didn't sense much danger. Immediately, he put away Thunderbolt and prepared to land on the ground. While landing, he executed the Ghost Python breath-holding technique to ensure that not a trace of his aura was leaked. As he passed through the dense foliage, he activated advanced hearing and listened to his surroundings. However, before he landed, a throwing dagger flew out first. Swish. Plkch. The sound of rushing wind was followed by a strange sound of penetration. A 2-meter-long green lizard suddenly revealed itself on a thick branch. There was a bloody hole in its head, and it laid on the branch, dead. A chameleon. It changed its skin color to blend into his surroundings. Moreover, its aura was not leaked at all. If Su Jingxing had not heard its weak heartbeat, he would not have discovered it any time soon. Swish. The treasure-throwing daggers broke through the wind again. Plkch. The head of a multicolored giant snake as thick as a human's thigh was pierced through. Its body that was wrapped around an old tree lost its strength and immediately fell. With a plop, it fell into a bush that was as tall as a person. A strange rustling sound came from the bushes. Su Jingxing floated 10 meters above the ground and slowly moved forward according to the dragon melting cauldron senses. As he restrained his aura, he also held his breath. The fragrance in the air was a little sweet, but after inhaling it, one would feel dizzy. It was poisonous. With his profound true energy cultivation, it wouldn't be a problem for him to not breathe for an hour or two. For this, Su Jingxing held the dragon melting cauldron and floated silently in midair. He only stopped when he reached a wide cave. It was a huge cave more than 30 meters in diameter. There was not a single plant at its periphery. The ground was also full of potholes that were piled up with dark green mucus. Without needing to breathe, just by approaching the cave entrance, one could see with the naked eye wisps of purplish-black mist floating out from the bottom of the cave. An invisible suppression was accompanied by a palpitating restlessness and provoked one's nerves. Under the dense foliage, this dark cave was like the mouth of a giant beast, attempting to devour everything. The dragon melting cauldron's exclusive blade is actually in such a place. How did it get here? Su Jingxing became vigilant and did not slow down his movements. With a leap, he pressed close to the cave wall and entered the cave. Circulating night vision and distant vision, the situation in the cave quickly came into view. Moving less than 20 meters downwards, he saw small holes on the wall. Of course, these small holes were only small as compared to the cave. In fact, each hole was about 2 meters in diameter. From time to time, sounds that would tickle the depths of one's heart would come from the densely packed holes. Chirps and hisses. Su Jingxing tried his best to stick to the walls with no holes and slowly descend. 50 meters. 70 meters. 100 meters. He descended for more than 500 meters before reaching the bottom. Standing in a pile of bones, Su Jingxing looked around. Under his night vision, an incomparably spacious underground cave presented a different scene. The upside-down stalactites hung from the dome, the highest was 100 meters above the ground. The towering rocks were piled up together. From afar, they looked like burial mounds. Lumps of sticky liquid could be seen everywhere on the walls, ground, and rocks. As he was holding his breath, Su Jingxing did not catch the strange smell in the air, nor would he do so. Advanced hearing was still activated, and he continued to listen to the surroundings. Ba-dump. Ba-dump. Faint heartbeats sounded clearly by his ears. However, when he looked up, he only saw rubble or walls. Invisibility. These invisible creatures were no surprise. They were similar to the big lizard that Su Jingxing had killed back on the surface. It could change its skin color and blend into the surroundings to achieve invisibility. In other words, this is a lizard nest. Moreover, these big lizards seemed to be sleeping. Su Jingxing had restrained his aura and his heartbeat could barely be heard. However, his body was not invisible. Currently, he was exposed to the air. The nearest heartbeat was less than 10 meters away. If the big lizards had seen him, they wouldn't have remained indifferent. Their heartbeats and breathing also matched the sleeping frequency. With this in mind, Su Jingxing decisively moved forward, trying his best to distance himself from the heartbeat. He held the dragon melting cauldron and moved quickly. After circling around the cave with the strongest suppression and aura, he passed through a tall pile of rubble and sneaked into a deep passageway. Finally, he arrived in a cave filled with giant eggs. Each egg was more than a meter tall and oval in appearance. There were heartbeats coming from within, steam rising from them, and cracks all over the surface of the shell. The top half of the egg was already broken. A small entirely black-brown lizard was lying on the ground at the edge of the eggshell, gnawing on unknown flesh. At a glance, there were more than 100 similar small lizards. And there were at least 2,000 that had yet to break out of their shells. Lizard nest. This cave was like a lizard's incubation chamber. Su Jingxing's brain worked, searching for the species in his memories based on the appearance of the little lizards. The mountain dragon salamander, yes, the mountain dragon salamander. These lizards were all mountain dragon salamanders, a type of powerful earth attribute lizard with dragon bloodline. The mountain dragon salamander was also the lizard species that was most likely to evolve into mutated beasts. Su Jingxing didn't know if there were any mutated beasts in the cave outside. His intuition told him that there was. The underground cave was too big. Su Jingxing didn't go into every room. He had directly followed the direction of the dragon melting cauldron to the incubation room in front of him and found the exclusive blade. In the center of the thousands of mountain dragon salamander eggs, there was a saber that was as tall as a person. It was wide, restrained, and domineering. Its blade was dim, and its handle had many scales. It was like a dragon's saber that stabbed into the ground, occasionally emitting a vibrating cry. The wandering dragon saber. At first glance, Su Jingxing recognized the saber. The wandering dragon saber was Lu Chenglong's weapon when he was alive. It was a weapon that specialized in killing and was extremely sharp. It wasn't as Su Jingxing thought, that it was the exclusive saber of the dragon melting cauldron. The reason why the two were connected was most likely because they came from the same forging table. To put it simply, both the wandering dragon saber and the dragon melting cauldron were blood spirit weapons. What puzzled Su Jingxing was, why did the mountain dragon salamanders put the wandering dragon saber in the incubation chamber? This action proved that there were mutated beasts among the mountain dragon salamanders. But Su Jingxing still couldn't figure out why they did that. Using the wandering dragon saber to incubate the eggs. This thought suddenly popped up in Su Jingxing's mind. After snapping out of his daze, in his surprise, he released his mental power to sense the vibration of the wandering dragon saber. And he really did find something. Every time the wandering dragon saber vibrated, it would shake the air and reach the eggs, causing the eggs to tremble ever so slightly. The closer they were to the wandering dragon saber, the more obvious the trembling was. And most of the huge eggs hatched were indeed close to the wandering dragon saber. Genius! Su Jingxing sighed with emotion at the wonder of this phenomenon. The mutated beast amongst the mountain dragon salamanders could be said to be a genius. It actually made use of the wandering dragon saber to accelerate the hatching of the eggs and possibly even strengthen them. In particular, the vibration of the wandering dragon saber was not spontaneous, but triggered by pieces of strange metals. Around the ground where the wandering dragon saber was sticking out, palm-sized, dark golden stones were scattered about. Su Jingxing couldn't tell what kind of stones they were immediately. And neither could he be bothered to guess. He flew over silently, grabbed the wandering dragon saber, and stored it in his palm space. Then, he picked up a few stones from the ground and turned around to leave. During this process, a few small lizards saw Su Jingxing and became rooted to the ground. Their eyes were fixed on Su Jingxing as he flew past their heads. Seeing that Su Jingxing had completely left the cave, they then let out strange cries. Their voices were soft and low. If Su Jingxing hadn't been using advanced hearing, he wouldn't have heard them at all. Because he had heard them, his speed suddenly increased. The cave outside suddenly became lively. Heavy footsteps, messy yet close-packed, rushed towards the cave where the incubation chamber was. The other mountain dragon salamanders were alarmed. Su Jingxing accelerated to his fastest speed. After emerging from the dark passageway, he even executed the 36 alterations of 1,000 transformations and condensed 10 true energy clones. They spread out and flew everywhere, luring the approaching mountain dragon salamanders in all directions. TSS. Roar. Dong. 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 Low growls, running sounds, and crashing sounds. Instantly, the entire underground cave became extremely lively. The 10 true energy clones lured the mountain dragon salamanders that were 5 to 6 meters long to dash around wildly in the cave. Su Jingxing's main body took the opportunity to make a rush back to the bottom of the cave where he came from. He took out Thunderbolt and enlarged it. Stepping on it, he accelerated and soared upwards. Swoosh! Following the wide passage, he charged into the sky. The depth of more than 500 meters was covered in an instant and returned back beneath the blue sky. He adjusted his direction and returned to Chanyang Prefecture. When he left the range of the forest, a loud beast roar suddenly came from behind. Buzz! 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 The air surged and rippled under the roar. A terrifying pressure accompanied by an overwhelming aura enveloped a radius of tens of kilometers. In an instant, the 10 miles fragrance forest fell silent. All the birds, beasts, insects, and fish kept quiet, not daring to move. Within hundreds of meters around the cave that Su Jingxing came out from, the leaves of old trees were rustling. Su Jingxing, who had just left the forest, sensed this terrifying might. Immediately, it was as if an ancient giant beast had awakened and was roaring as it chased after him. Beast King! Alarms went off in Su Jingxing's mind. He instinctively sped up and broke through the air at 6 times the speed of sound. He only stopped when he was far away from the 10 miles fragrance forest and exhaled slightly. Beast King! There was actually a mutated beast at the level of Beast King among the mountain dragon salamanders. Su Jingxing was quite lucky. When he dived into the cave, he did not alert the mountain dragon salamander king. It was only after he got the wandering dragon saber out that the other party noticed him and roared angrily. I wonder which corner of the underground cave this mountain dragon salamander king was lying in. Most mutated beasts were not terrifying, but the kings among them were. Every beast king had the power to destroy a city. Without the need for a beast tide, the beast king alone could break through the city. An existence of this level could only be dealt with by experts in the top ranks, and they had to have an advantage in numbers. Beast Kings were also divided into strong and weak ones. Low level, intermediate level, and advanced level. It corresponded to the 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 1st grade in the top ranks. A low-level Beast King could only be killed by 2 or more ordinary 3rd grade martial artists. What level was this Mountain Dragon Salamander King? Low level? Or intermediate level? If it was low level, Su Jingxing was confident that he could defeat it. But if it was intermediate level, escaping would be a better option. What level was the Mountain Dragon Salamander King at? Su Jingxing's intuition told him that it had yet to reach the intermediate level. Of course, judging from the overwhelming influence earlier, it certainly was not far from becoming an intermediate Beast King. Once the Mountain Dragon Salamander King became an intermediate Beast King, the 10 miles fragrance forest would probably become a forbidden land or a death zone. Wonder if the Xifang Prefecture army knows about this? Su Jingxing murmured and continued flying back to Changyang Prefecture. The information that the Mountain Dragon Salamander King was about to break through to the intermediate level had to be reported to the Xifang Prefecture online as soon as he got back. It would be too troublesome if he were to head there with his true identity. As there was no need to hurry, Su Jingxing wasn't flying fast. Flying high in the sky, he wasn't afraid of being discovered either. On the way, he took out the wandering dragon saber and tried to subdue it. This broad saber that Lu Chenglong had used when he was alive had reappeared after more than 400 years. However, it was dull and there were even rust stains on some parts. It was a little inconvenient to carry and wield it as it was the length of a person. Su Jingxing first injected true energy into the blade, but he was blocked and could not carry on with the infusion. When he condensed his soul power and invaded with his mental power, it was also blocked by a strong and invisible force. It felt as if Wandering Dragon Saber had been sealed. The door hadn't even been opened, so how could he enter? Yes, the door is locked. A key is needed to open it. With a thought, Su Jingxing released the Sisui Horn Dragon and wrapped it around the Wandering Dragon Saber. Buzz! The air shook, and a crisp vibration reverberated through the air. The Wandering Dragon Saber, which had no reaction a moment ago, was now trembling violently. It released terrifying power that interfered with the space and produced ripples. Crack! 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 Amidst the rhythmic strange sounds, the saber that was the length of a person suddenly shortened and shrunk. The dull surface shone again. The pieces of rust fell off automatically and turned into dust. Roar! Accompanied by a dragon's cry, Su Jingxing's consciousness easily entered the saber and came into contact with an active sentience. Under the guidance of this sentience, he found the core of the Wandering Dragon Saber and engraved a mental imprint that belonged to Su Jingxing. Roar! The dragon's cry sounded again. Su Jingxing raised the saber. A dragon-shaped imprint could be seen swimming on the blade with the naked eye. On both sides of the saber hilt, dragon claws were spread open, and the dragon pearl at the top emitted a brilliant radiance. Swish! Saber beam bloomed. Instead of infusing true energy into it, he only used the Wandering Dragon Saber's own strength to swing lightly and slash out a streak of saber energy that tore through the air and extended for more than 10 meters. It descended from the sky at a neither fast nor slow speed. Ordinary people could see it with their vision. From the side, one could clearly see a streak of translucent saber energy descending from the sky and slicing through a mountain that was filled with cliff faces. With a strange sound, the translucent saber energy sliced diagonally into the mountain. Crack! Boom! The mountain moved. Small half that was sliced off slid down the blade. Even though it only slid halfway before stopping, the might of this strike still surprised Su Jingxing. Take Thunderbolt for example. The might of a spirit weapon was something a treasure weapon could not compare to. By infusing true energy into a treasure weapon, one could fight against martial artists in the lower ranks or the middle ranks. But if one were to fight against a martial artist in the top ranks, it was not that there would be no killing and wounding effect, but that the lethality and destructive power would be truly limited. Su Jingxing didn't dare to use Thunderbolt because of its limited energy. This wandering dragon saber just happened to supplement its weakness. As expected of a spirit weapon that specializes in killing. Su Jingxing murmured as he held the wandering dragon saber in his hand to sense everything about this spirit weapon. Although he had subdued it thanks to the Sisui horn dragon, he still had to get used to it for a while before he could wield it around like Thunderbolt. It couldn't be helped. The wandering dragon saber was different from Thunderbolt. The latter had been severely injured before. Su Jingxing had relied on the 3 candles' blood to slowly help it recover. He had already adapted to it in the process of feeding it the 3 candles' blood. The wandering dragon saber was different. This spirit weapon was intact and undamaged. It was unknown how long it had been since it was in the possession of the mountain dragon Salamander King. The mental imprint that Lu Chenglong had placed on it had long disappeared over time. The wandering dragon saber had experienced a window period. Now that Su Jingxing had subdued it again, they both had to get familiar with each other. So, while flying in the sky above the no man's land, Su Jingxing swung the wandering dragon saber from time to time and slashed out streaks of saber energy. He only stopped swinging the saber after entering the territory of Changyang Prefecture. Moments later, he retracted his consciousness and revealed a delighted expression. The distance was like an arm's length, soon. Boom! A loud bang suddenly came from the mountains on his right. The aftershocks of the sound rolled in all directions. What powerful energy fluctuations! Su Jingxing stopped in his tracks and raised his eyebrows when he sensed the intense fluctuations coming from his right. Boom! Another explosion echoed through the air. Before Su Jingxing could sense it, a cold, violent, and fierce fluctuation had already rushed towards him from the right. Swish! Su Jingxing moved to avoid the impact. His gaze locked onto the two figures that were coming at him. One of them was surprisingly the elder of the 100-Flower Valley whom he had just met. The long-haired woman whose martial art true intent was a huge peony flower. Her name seemed to be Yan Zi. The other person was the black-robed man who had fought with Yan Zi previously. However, most of the black robe on the black-robed man's body had been torn apart, revealing his true appearance. An aged, sinister, vicious face with 3 ugly scars on it. The two of them were in an extremely strange state. This was especially true for Yan Zi. Her originally pretty face had lost all color. Even her flesh seemed to have been reduced by more than half. She was all skin and bones, terrifyingly thin. As for the black-robed old man, his original martial art true intent, which was the 3-headed snake, had now become 3 snakes. Or rather, his martial art true intent was actually 3 snakes. Combining them together was just a cover-up. When it came to a true life-and-death duel, 3 unconnected giant snakes would appear and dance around to attack the opponent. For example, right now, of the 3 giant snakes, one was clinging tightly onto Yan Zi's peony flower and wouldn't let go no matter how much the peony flower shook and released shockwaves. Its huge mouth bit onto the flower core, and its body trembled as it endured the waves of impact. Another was wrapped around Yan Zi's body, tying her up. The giant mouth bit Yan Zi's neck from behind. The last one hovered above the black-robed old man's head. It opened its huge mouth, and its upper body kept extending and contracting as if it was devouring something. Su Jingxing watched carefully. With every breath the snake took, Yan Zi's face turned paler. Her body trembled and she became even thinner. Even though Yan Zi was resisting and her true essence was surging, it was pitifully little. Eaten. Su Jingxing was shocked. He recalled the corpse of the 100-Flower Valley disciple he had previously transported. That corpse was a mummy. In Yan Zi's current state, it wouldn't be long before she would also become a mummy. The murderer has been found. He's actually this black-robed old man who had turned a person into a mummy using a martial art. What kind of martial art is this? It is definitely a heretic art. Yen Zi was no match for him and was caught. Before long, she would turn into a mummy. Seeing this, Su Jingxing was shocked and decisively distanced himself. Still the same reason. When the 100-Flower Valley fought with others, as long as they did not implicate the innocent, it had nothing to do with Su Jingxing. But Su Jingxing didn't want to participate in the death match between the two of them. After the black-robed old man discovered Su Jingxing, he quickly pounced towards him. He only left behind a giant snake wrapped around Yen Zi's martial art true intent. The other two flew out and tore through the air, pouncing towards Su Jingxing. Their speed was extremely fast. Alarms went off in Su Jingxing's mind. He had just released the Sisui horned dragon to protect his body and it was bitten by the two giant snakes. One bit the black horned dragon's tail, while the other bit the dragon's neck. Then, Su Jingxing felt a terrifying suction force absorbing his mental power, true energy, physical strength, and essence energy through the Sisui horned dragon. This fellow wants to eat me. Su Jingxing was alarmed and furious. He instinctively brandished the wandering dragon saber and slashed down at the black-robed old man. Boom! The air exploded and swept through the air. The wandering dragon saber that was infused with true energy shone brightly. The saber energy was like a whip as it struck its target in a few milliseconds. Pooh! The black-robed old man who had just arrived in front of Su Jingxing had his light barrier shattered. Blood spurted from his mouth as he flew backward uncontrollably. After suffering heavy injuries, the two giant snakes that were biting the Sisui horned dragon immediately twisted their bodies and escaped. Whoosh! Su Jingxing, who had regained his freedom, did not escape. Instead, he raised his saber and charged at the black-robed old man. Since the old fellow wanted to eat him, would Su Jingxing run away just like that? Buzz! His transcendent body was activated, and a faint golden glow appeared on his body. Swish! 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 The heaven-trampling true energy in his dantian circulated crazily. He gathered it into his hands and infused it into the wandering dragon saber. Boom boom boom. The air exploded as streaks of saber energy slashed out. Intense fluctuations tore through the air, extending over 20 meters. Accompanied by a deafening dragon's roar, every strike struck the black-robed old man. Roar! The black-robed old man's body manifested the three-headed snake martial art true intent. The two giant snakes that had escaped a second ago and the one that clung onto Yen Zi were actually summoned back by him. They reappeared and protected his body. The terrifying force that Su Jingxing exerted with every slash was blocked by the three-headed snake. The remaining small half struck his protective true essence, causing ripples to spread out. One retreated, and the other forced his way forward. The two of them were pushed more than 1,000 meters away in the air, and they continued. Boom! 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 A dull thunder-like sound spread through the sky. Saber energy that was tens of meters long slashed down without stopping. The black-robed old man was unable to dodge the frenzied attacks and could only defend passively. But what Su Jingxing lacked the least was true energy and strength. With more than 800 years of cultivation and 20,000 caddies of strength, at this moment, with the circulation of the three origin saber art and the augmentation of the wandering dragon saber, were unleashed without restraint. 100 years of cultivation, 200 years of cultivation, 300 years of cultivation, 400 years of cultivation. 50,000 caddies of strength, 100,000 caddies of strength, 150,000 caddies of strength, 200,000 caddies of strength. Upwind single slash. Sweeping river army slash. Ascending dragon overlord slash. Swish. 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 Boom. 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 // Ah! Unable to escape or avoid the attacks, the black-robed old man passively endured them until the end and roared at the sky in anger. He couldn't block them. Faced with Su Jingxing's crazy attacks in one breath, he couldn't block anything at all. First, his martial art true intent, the three-headed snake was shattered. Without waiting for it to rematerialize, the protective true essence on its body also dissipated. With just a single slash, massive cracks appeared on his well-tempered physical body, and a hideous wound appeared on his shoulder. When the second saber strike landed, the black-robed old man let out a long roar. With a loud whoosh, his entire body was split into two. He was split into two by a single slash. Fresh blood and internal organs splattered through the air and fell to the ground. Card +1. Su Jingxing exhaled. The next second, he landed and found the two halves of the black-robed old man's corpse. He first searched the corpse but did not find anything. He decisively took out corpse-dissolving liquid and poured it all over the corpse. With a strange sound, ghost fire-like glows appeared above the two halves of the corpse. Su Jingxing had seen this scene once. He Quanshui. The patriarch of the He family, He Quanshui, who had joined the Ghost Ride organization, had been like this when he died. Seeing it again, a bad feeling filled Su Jingxing again. However, they quickly disappeared this time. This was because the two halves of the black-robed old man's corpse dissolved into two pools of bloody water at a speed visible to the naked eye. Someone from Ghost Ride again. Su Jingxing calmed his breathing and frowned slightly. Previously, he had guessed that the murderer who killed the disciple of the 100-Flower Valley and the Black Shadow who stole the stone tablet at the Myriad Treasures Court's auction were most likely the same person. Now that this person had been found, Su Jingxing had killed him. Then where was the stone tablet he stole? He was already dead. There was no chance to interrogate him. Su Jingxing couldn't be blamed for this. The black-robed old man was powerful and cultivated strange martial arts. He even wanted to eat Su Jingxing. Faced with such an opponent in the top ranks, how could Su Jingxing dare to hold back? Naturally, he had to unleash his full strength. With more than 800 years of true energy cultivation and 200,000 caddies of strength, the three origins saber art, the wandering dragon saber all combined, the black-robed old man was ultimately split into two. Was this result because Su Jingxing was too powerful, or because the black-robed old man was actually ordinary? Or could it be that the old fellow had expended too much energy fighting Yan Zi previously, that he did not have the strength to resist? Su Jingxing thought for a moment and threw the matter to the back of his mind. In any case, he was already dead. No matter what the reason was, it was all in the past. Swish! Pushing off the ground, he soared into the air. As he rushed back in the direction he came from to see if the woman called Yan Zi was dead, Su Jingxing took out the card he had extracted from the black-robed old man's corpse and held it in his hand to read the information. A skill card. It was not a memory card that he wanted the post, or a true essence card. Instead, it was a skill card named the Essence Devouring Technique. He unlocked the card and absorbed the information. The Essence Devouring Art had a total of 3 volumes. The skill card only contained the first 2 volumes of mental cultivation techniques. It seemed like the black-robed old man had only cultivated 2 volumes. The ability of this martial art was one word: devour. True energy, true essence, internal force, energy, blood energy, essence, spirit, soul power. It could devour anything in a human's body. He had found the cause of death of the 100-Flower Valley disciple. Su Jingxing also personally witnessed Yan Zi's tragic state. It turned out that both of them had suffered the ravages of the essence-devouring art. However, even though the essence-devouring art was domineering, the side effects were equally great. Essence energy, internal force, blood energy, and soul power were still fine. They were the same for almost everyone. However, there were many people with different attributes in true energy and true essence. When these true energy and true essence of different attributes were absorbed into his dantian, the essence-devouring art would only forcefully stick them together instead of completely melting and fusing them. When a martial artist's cultivation is thereby strengthened, the martial artist's consciousness would naturally be stronger when they gained the upper hand. However, if one day he was at a disadvantage, his chaotic aura would immediately explode and he would fall into chi deviation. Therefore, this was a heretic art. Of course, when absorbing true energy and true essence, it was possible to absorb those of only one attribute. In that case, the probability of the side effects erupting would be very low. Due to the lack of one volume, Su Jingxing was unable to determine if he could advance to the top ranks by cultivating the essence-devouring art. But it should be possible. Wasn't the black-robed old man whom he had chopped into two in the top ranks? The old fellow's true essence cultivation was very deep. If it were any other ordinary third-grade martial artist, they would not be his match at all. And the reason for his deep true essence cultivation was most likely due to the absorption using the essence-devouring art. As members of the 100-Flower Valley, Yan Zi and the female disciple who had died previously most likely cultivated internal exercises with similar attributes. The black-robed old man must have specially chosen them. If it were anyone else, they would probably jump in excitement after obtaining the essence-devouring art. Although Su Jingxing was surprised, he didn't take it to heart. Because it wasn't attractive to him. True energy and true essence. He could obtain them through extracting cards. On the contrary, the side effects which might erupt just any day was completely an invisible bomb. No one knew when it would explode. However, the absorption and devouring ability of the essence-devouring art gave Su Jingxing an idea. This idea could be added to his self-created martial art. Even though Su Jingxing had yet to decide on what kind of martial art to create, similar thoughts had been accumulating. Even the blood drop heretic art had reference points, let alone the essence-devouring art. However, he was still in the midst of considering how to fuse the unique characteristics of multiple martial arts. He flew back the way he came. When he found Yan Zi, the emaciated woman was still alive. But she wasn't far from death. The aura on her body was extremely weak, her blood energy was almost completely withered, and her heartbeat was also barely audible. Is he dead? Yan Zi, who was lying on the ground, opened her mouth weakly and looked at Su Jingxing, who was wearing a mask. Dead. Su Jingxing replied coolly, "What last words do you have?" Good, good. Yan Zi narrowed her eyes and her heaving chest calmed down. After a moment, she slowly opened her eyes and asked under her breath, "Can you bring my corpse back to the Wang family of Qinghe, and hand it to my senior sister? Tell her that Master has always thought highly of her." "Sure," replied Su Jingxing readily. "Thank you," Yan Zi spat out the words with difficulty. Her head tilted to the side and she passed. Card +1. Instead of taking out the card he had extracted in a hurry, Su Jingxing approached the corpse and began to search it. Still nothing. He did not have any hopes to begin with, so he was naturally not disappointed. Putting the corpse into his palm space, he got up and left, returning to Qinghe City. With the corpse in his palm space, the corpse-raising devil insect egg could forget about coming to it. As for agreeing to help deliver the corpse. Firstly, it was on the account of the card, the True Essence card. The function card extracted from Yan Zi's corpse was a True Essence card with 5 years of cultivation. The second reason was that 100-Flower Valley had a good reputation and was considered a legitimate large sect. Just like the Shaolin and Wudang on Earth. Even though Su Jingxing had no intention of joining them, of course, the 100-Flower Valley wouldn't accept him either. The 100-Flower Valley only accepted female disciples. Su Jingxing didn't mind befriending the 100-Flower Valley. After all, it was dropping off a corpse while on his way. Back in Qinghe City, Su Jingxing was in no hurry to go to the Wang family. It was better to deliver the corpse at night. In particular, there was an elder in Hundred Flower Valley who Yan Zi addressed as senior sister. Who knew what realm this senior sister was in and how strong she was? Su Jingxing had no intention of exposing his true identity to the other party. He planned to use his true energy clone to deliver the corpse. And the night was more suitable for true energy clones to move around. So, back at his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing first turned on his computer and went online. He sent the news that the mountain dragon salamander king of the 10 miles fragrant sea forest was about to break through to the intermediate level to the official email of the Sifang Prefecture. Whether the other party believed it or not was none of Su Jingxing's business. After that, he took out the Buddha flame root and placed it in the dragon melting cauldron to cook. He released his true energy to heat up the bottom of the cauldron. Before long, a fragrance wafted out and filled the room. Just in case, Su Jingxing released more true energy to form a barrier around the dragon melting cauldron to prevent the fragrance from spreading and attracting others. With more than 800 years of true energy cultivation and a backup true energy card, while Su Jingxing remained vigilant, he unleashed his strength to his heart's content. The process lasted for more than an hour. Opening the lid, he checked the situation inside the dragon melting cauldron. The Buddha flame root had disappeared, turning into a pool of liquid. After slightly dissipating the heat, he took out all the liquid and swallowed it in small mouthfuls. As he swallowed, he circulated the 9 steps trampling heaven to boost his true energy attribute. After consuming all the liquid, Su Jingxing circulated his true energy and slowly released it, swirling it around his palm. Who? Even though his true energy wasn't burning, it was emitting flames and heat waves. Success. Previously, it was heaven trampling true energy. Now, it had turned into flaming heaven trampling true energy. As he slashed out, the saber energy also contained a scorching aura. After sensing the new changes, Su Jingxing put away the dragon melting cauldron and got some food to wait for night. Night fell. Su Jingxing took a corpse bag and moved Yan Zi's corpse into it. Then, he held it in his hand and soared into the sky, flying towards the Wang family's residence where Wang Taidao was. When it was almost time, he descended from the sky and hid in a small alley near the Wang family's residence. He condensed a true energy clone, put on a cloak, a mask, and walked towards the Wang family's residence with the corpse bag. He was stopped at the door. Before the guards could say anything, Su Jingxing opened the bag and threw it on the ground. Swoosh! Yan Zi's emaciated face was exposed. All. This is Elder Yan. Quick, report this to the patriarch. The 2 guards were scared out of their wits. Amidst the screams, one of them trembled and stayed in place to guard the corpse. Another ran inside like he was escaping for his life, shouting that Elder Yan had returned. Whoosh! 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 Whoo! Swoosh! Before long, messy footsteps and the sound of rushing wind came from the door. 2 figures were the fastest. One in front and one behind, they stepped through the air and landed in front of Su Jingxing. Their expressions changed drastically when he saw Yan Zi in the body bag. The burly Wang Taidao was the first to raise the saber in her hand. She stared at Su Jingxing and shouted, "Did you kill Elder Yan?" "Shut up." Beside her, a woman with long flowing hair who looked to be in her 30s raised her eyebrows and shouted, "He didn't kill junior sister." "Master?" Wang Taidao turned to look at the woman with a puzzled expression. Her movements were not slow as she put down the saber. "This friend is here to deliver the corpse." The woman zipped up the corpse bag and motioned for Wang Taidao to pick it up. Then, she turned around and faced Su Jingxing's true energy clone. She bowed slightly and said gratefully, "Thank you, friend, for delivering my junior sister's corpse back to us. I'm Pu Mingyue, the head of 100 Valley's sword hall. I have nothing to repay you for returning her corpse. I have a jar of immortal chant wine. I hope you can accept it. If you are not in a hurry, you can come in with me. While waiting for the immortal chant wine, we can discuss some martial arts. Of course, I also wish to know how my junior sister died and whether she left any last words. Then I'll disturb you for a while. In the alley, Su Jingxing controlled his voice and spoke in a deep and thick voice. When he spoke, he used the secret ability of high-frequency sound waves to twist it into a line and send it to the mouth of the true energy clone. In this way, it would be equivalent to the true energy clone speaking. Of course, if one sensed carefully, one could still discover the problem. However, Su Jingxing could guarantee that even if Pu Mingyue discovered the problem, she wouldn't expose it. Meeting her with his true energy clone was a clear indication of Su Jingxing's attitude. There was no grudge between the two of them. On the contrary, they were indebted to him for delivering the corpse. Pu Mingyue had no choice but to accept this. He walked into the Wang family's residence. They chose a quiet room. Pu Mingyue, Wang Taidao, and Su Jingxing's true energy clone sat facing one another. On the ground was Yan Zi's corpse. The essence-devouring heretic art. When my younger sister died, were you watching? Pu Mingyue asked. Happened to pass by and saw her being grabbed and devoured. After the murderer discovered me, he pounced on me. I had no choice but to fight him and was lucky to kill the murderer. Su Jingxing summarized, there was originally something strange with the murderer's corpse. I quickly destroyed it and managed to avoid a battle. By the way, the murderer is from Ghost Ride. Ghost Ride? Nine-headed bird, exclaimed Wang Taidao. Ghost Ride? Pu Mingyue frowned slightly and said in a low voice, junior sister was too rash. She clearly knew that the murderer cultivated the essence-devouring heretic art, yet she still dared to go out alone. Su Jingxing said, before she died, she said that master thought the best of you. Pu Mingyue's mouth fell open, and her aura changed drastically. After a while, all her emotions turned into a long sigh. Silly girl, Pu Mingyue smiled bitterly and didn't probe further. Instead, she looked at Su Jingxing and asked with shining eyes, may I know your name? T.M. Li Jing, said Su Jingxing. So your brother Li. Pu Mingyue's eyes flashed and she continued, I wonder if Brother Li has heard of the Crimson Moon martial sage. Te heard of him. The martial sage of the previous dynasty, Yu Donglu, right? Yes, that's him. Pu Mingyue nodded. It's best that you know, Brother Li. What I want to say is that the rumor that the Crimson Moon martial sage left behind a legacy has been verified to be true. The Crimson Moon legacy is related to 3 stone tablets. As long as the 3 stone tablets are gathered, the legacy ground can be manifested to open the legacy's underground palace. Right now, there are many factions gathered in Qinghe City. Their goal is to enter the underground palace. The 100 Valley is one of them. As for the 3 stone tablets, 2 are currently known. Who has these 2 pieces? Su Jingxing interrupted. Pu Mingyue replied, one is with the Qinghe Martial Suppression Office, and the other is with the Changyang Prefecture Army. What kind of development is this? The 2 known stone tablets of the 3 are in the government's possession. Wasn't one of them seized by the black-robed old man? Although I killed the black-robed old man, I don't know where the stone tablet is. Did something happen before this? As if knowing Su Jingxing's doubts, Pu Mingyue continued, the one with the Martial Suppression Office was previously seized by someone at the auction. However, it was taken back by Bu Qin that night. By the way, Bu Qin is a universal envoy. His title is the Reverse Light Spear King. He's almost in the 2nd grade. It's him. Su Jingxing thought of the tall figure with a long spear he had seen during the day. So his name is Bu Qin, the reinforcement from the Martial Suppression Office. Aren't you curious, Brother Li? Why I said taken back? Pu Mingyue suddenly asked with a smile. What do you mean? Because that stone tablet was entrusted to the Myriad Treasures Court by the commander of city governance of Qinghe City's Martial Suppression Office, Li Linzhou. Li Linzhou was the first to get the stone tablet. That's right. Pu Mingyue nodded. When his subordinates discovered the stone tablet and Li Linzhou learned that it was related to the Crimson Moon martial sage, he privately kept it. However, when he discovered that there were a total of 3 such stone tablets, he decisively took it out to auction for a large sum of money. The reason is simple. Li Linzhou doesn't hold hopes of obtaining the legacy of the Crimson Moon martial sage. Brother Li, do you know Li Linzhou's past? I don't know, and neither am I interested. Of course he was interested. But he couldn't let Pu Mingyue lead him by the nose. This woman had been trying to get information out of him. Although Su Jingxing wasn't sure of her motive for now, he wasn't afraid. At most, he'd just dispel his true energy clone. As for the Li Jing alias he casually mentioned, it was even less valuable. Li Linzhou has a deep background. Pu Mingyue paused for a moment before continuing as if nothing had happened. He is the personal disciple of U-Nation's Martial Suppression Office's head supervisor. F***ck, Old Li is impressive. His master is actually a first-grade expert, a member of the U-Nation's cabinet. Of course, now he's longer one. Pu Mingyue said softly, Li Linzhou was expelled from the sect because he made a mistake. He was actually demoted when he came to Qinghe City. If the legacy of the Crimson Moon martial sage was only related to 1 stone tablet, he would naturally go to the underground palace. Unfortunately, he couldn't gather all 3 stone tablets or keep them. Su Jingxing remained silent. If he had a first grade as his backer, Li Linzhou would naturally be able to keep the stone tablets. Things were awkward now that he had been kicked out of the sect. No wonder Old Li would rather exchange it for money. Although money couldn't buy everything, once the price was right, most things could still be bought. Su Jingxing sighed inwardly. Li Linzhou's entrusted item was snatched, so he only received some compensation. The stone tablet is now in Buqing's hands. Pu Mingyue continued to narrate. With Buqing guarding it, the security of this stone tablet is basically guaranteed. I don't know how the prefecture army managed to obtain the other stone tablet, but it's also safe. Only the last stone tablet, we know it's in Qinghe City, but we don't know whose hands it has fallen into. After a brief silence, Su Jingxing asked, So, why are you telling me this? Pu Mingyue smiled. 'Twas waiting for this question, Brother Li. Her eyes lit up as she stared at Su Jingxing and said seriously, I would like to invite Brother Li to seek out the underground palace with us. Is the legacy underground palace very dangerous? Su Jingxing controlled his true energy clone, and his aura was stable without any fluctuations. Yes. Pu Mingyue retracted her gaze and said in a low voice, the Crimson Moon martial sage is very low-profiled. When Yu Donglu was still the Prince of Crimson Moon, he rarely appeared. After he became a martial sage, even fewer people saw him. Those of us who know about his deeds had to search for a long time to confirm that he has left behind a legacy. And that legacy ground is in the Green Cloud Mountain Range. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. His true energy clone remained calm and his aura was extremely stable. It was indeed in the Green Cloud Mountain Range. Su Jingxing had already been there, but he just didn't dare to go down. Since you know the location, do you still need the stone tablets? Asked Su Jingxing coolly. Yes. Pu Mingyue chuckled. The stone tablets are the key. We only know that the legacy ground is in the Green Cloud Mountain Range, but we don't know the exact location. But the stone tablets can lead us to it. Opening the underground palace also requires 3 stone tablets. According to the secret information passed down, there is a huge risk in the legacy underground palace. Ordinary third-grade martial artists can forget about coming out. So, you're inviting me to share the risk? Asked Su Jingxing. Yes. Pu Mingyue answered frankly without a change in expression. Since Brother Li was able to kill the person from Ghost Ride, you are qualified to enter the underground palace with us. As for the risks inside, I believe Brother Li has heard of a saying, risk often comes with opportunity. Do you think there are any opportunities in the legacy left behind by the Crimson Moon Martial Sage, Brother Li? Isn't that obvious? Pu Mingyue, Li Linzhou, Bu Qing, the members of Ghost Ride, and everyone else who are busy searching for the stone tablet. Aren't they all doing so to enter the underground palace and obtain the legacy of the martial sage? Besides, there are often more than one treasure in a legacy ground. Since there is even an underground palace, there had to be other things in there. These things might not be of much use to a martial sage, but not necessarily to Su Jingxing and the others. Spirit weapons, divine arts, rare treasures. Who would find them too much? Therefore, there was nothing wrong with the saying that risk comes with opportunity. Pu Mingyue's honesty was also very sincere. Her intentions were very direct. All of them would enter the underground palace together. If they encountered danger, they would escape separately. If they found any treasures, each individual would also take them for themselves. What they got would depend entirely on their luck. And unless one was in the third grade, they couldn't get involved in such matters. Take Wang Taidao for example. If she also came along and was lucky enough to obtain a special spirit weapon, would the other third-grade martial artists seize it when they see it? 99% yes. It was way too easy for a third-grade martial artist to snatch from a fourth-grade martial artist. However, if Li Jing, who was also in the third grade, were to obtain the spirit weapon, the others would have to consider whether it was worth it to make a move. The legacy underground palace was dangerous to begin with. If one were to fight with another, even if he didn't die, as long as he was injured, he could still die inside. Under such circumstances, looking for other treasures was undoubtedly better than fighting another person. As for whether Su Jingxing wanted to go to the underground palace? Again, duh. Who would be willing to give up the chance to obtain the martial sage's legacy? Others weren't qualified to go, but Su Jingxing was. Third-grade martial artists, as long as they weren't anyone special, Su Jingxing wasn't afraid. Even if he couldn't win, would he be afraid that he wouldn't be able to escape? Come. Without much thought, Su Jingxing agreed, when the legacy underground palace opens, remember to contact me in advance. With that, Su Jingxing provided an anonymous number. Excellent. Pu Mingyue smiled. Then we are allies from now on. I hope we have a pleasant cooperation. Pleasant cooperation to us. Su Jingxing controlled his true energy clone to stand up, and prepare to leave. There's no hurry. I haven't given you the immortal chant wine yet, Brother Li. Pu Mingyue gestured at Wang Taidao, who had been silent all this while. She made a call. Moments later, 3 female martial artists with different dispositions entered the room. One of them was holding a wine jar. Thope Brother Li will accept this humble gift. Pu Mingyue took the wine jar and handed it to Su Jingxing. Seeing this, Su Jingxing controlled his true energy to form a strand of true energy that wrapped around the wine jar. Farewell. Su Jingxing held the wine jar and said goodbye. Then, he decisively walked towards the door. After leaving, he wrapped his cloak around his true energy clone, flew into the sky and into the distance. Su Jingxing's main body chased after it on the ground. After leaving the Wang family's residence, his true energy clone descended from the sky and dispersed. Picking up the wine jar, he leaped into the night sky again and returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. What they did with Yan Zi's corpse had nothing to do with Su Jingxing anymore. Before she died, she even asked Su Jingxing to send her corpse back to Wang Qidao's residence and hand it to Pu Mingyue. Come to think of it, 100 Flower Valley probably had its own way of dealing with corpses. Compared to Yan Zi's corpse, Su Jingxing was more interested in the immortal chant wine Pu Mingyue gave him. This wine was probably no ordinary wine. Even though Pu Mingyue had very modestly expressed her gratitude, Su Jingxing wouldn't treat it as a humble gift. Something that a big shot like Pu Mingyue would use as a gift was definitely extraordinary. Therefore, after Su Jingxing returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, he quickly switched on his computer and searched for information about the immortal chant wine online. After searching for a while, he really found traces of it on a forum. It was an exposing post by an ID. The immortal grown wine is a rare spirit wine. It is a unique treasure of the 100-Flower Valley, an excellent product among wines brewed from spirit herbs, Duan drops, sourceless water, and more than 100 heavenly treasures. Only 10 jars are produced a year. Its effects are powerful. Not only can it temper the physical body and heal internal injuries, it could also harmonize true energy and nourish the soul. The source of the name, immortal grown wine, referred to the fact that even legendary immortals would groan uncontrollably when they drank it. Of course, this was an exaggeration. But in fact, most people who had drunk the immortal grown wine would groan despite themselves. One mouthful of immortal grown wine is better than becoming a prince or marquis. This saying has been circulating for 1,000 years. Those who don't know naturally won't feel anything. But anyone who knows about the immortal grown wine would dream of taking a sip. As for those who had drunk it, they would never forget it. Reading these exaggerated descriptions, Su Jingxing could not hold back. He took out the immortal grown wine from his palm space and opened the seal. A refreshing aura that went straight to the bottom of his heart wafted out first. Su Jingxing couldn't help but take a few breaths. In the next moment, his spirit became refreshed and his mind cleared up in an indescribable way. Good wine. It was indeed an excellent wine. It almost made him groan before he even drank it. Su Jingxing took a deep breath, held the wine jar, and poured out half a bowl. Then, he quickly sealed it and placed it back into his palm space. He picked up the bowl and wrapped it with his true energy. He took a sip and sensed the charm within. Just like what was written online, after confirming that it was real, he released his true energy and allowed the soft liquid to flow into his mouth, then into his throat, his stomach, and finally spread all over his body. The carefree feeling from head to toe stimulated Su Jingxing and gave him tingles, and he couldn't help but groan. However, in the next second, he decisively circulated his true energy to spin in his dantian. A unique aura flowed through his body and entered his dantian. His true energy that had yet to liquefy quickly condensed and toured into liquid. This wine can actually speed up the transformation of true energy. Su Jingxing was overjoyed. Transforming true energy into true essence was a qualitative transformation, and it was basically achieved through internal exercises. Before this, Su Jingxing had never seen this process being completed using external objects. This alone would be enough to drive everyone crazy. Fortunately, the immortal grown wine was brewed by the 100-Flower Valley. If it were anyone else or a faction, they wouldn't be able to protect the recipe. This spirit wine was too precious. Su Jingxing was very glad that he had helped deliver the corpse. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten this jar of immortal grown wine. There were only 10 jars produced per year, and Pu Mingyue gave him one directly. How generous! It was also likely that this jar of wine was one that Pu Mingyue managed to keep with great effort. The 100-Flower Valley had existed for more than 1,000 years. It had many experts and was powerful. It did not fear anyone or any faction, but it could not be closed off. Of the 10 jars of immortal grown wine brewed every year, 9 of them would probably be transacted. Therefore, the jar in Su Jingxing's hand was extremely rare. Su Jingxing didn't sense much of the small bowl of wine he poured out. He used it all to convert his true energy. After finishing it, he felt unsatisfied and poured out another bowl. At the same time, he continued to convert this true energy. When he was done, he poured another bowl. Moments later, he poured another bowl. He wasn't addicted, he was just obsessed. Coupled with the conversion of true energy, it drove Su Jingxing to pour bowl after bowl. When he realized that there was only half a jar left, he suddenly sobered up and stopped opening it. The immortal chant wine could heal internal injuries. He had to save some for the future. Even so, only a third of the true energy in his dantian had yet to be converted into liquid. At this rate, if Su Jingxing had 2 jars of immortal grown wine, he would be able to complete the conversion of his true energy to true essence. Now, he still had to rely on himself to complete the conversion of the last third of his true energy. Putting away the wine jar, Su Jingxing let out a breath and smacked his lips again, savoring the wonders of the immortal grown wine. Such wine could not be bought with money, nor was it available on the market. There was no way to get another jar. He couldn't possibly kidnap someone from the 100-Flower Valley and extort them, could he? Su Jingxing shook his head in amusement and thought about the stone tablets. Once all 3 stone tablets are gathered, we would be able to manifest the legacy ground and open the underground palace. The 3rd stone tablet is also in Qinghe City. But who is it with? Su Jingxing was curious, but he had no intention of looking for it. Just wait. Ghost Ride, the Chanyang Prefecture Army, the Martial Suppression Office, 100-Flower Valley, and Lu Wuchang and the others were all looking for the 3rd stone tablet. So many factions had mobilized their forces to search for it. Finding the 3rd stone tablet was only a matter of time. Su Jingxing just had to wait. Hence. Over the next few days, Su Jingxing resumed his daily cultivation or dropped by the crematorium to take a stroll. Every night, before going to bed, he would take out a bunch of cards that he had automatically extracted and read the information one by one. He would either keep them in his palm space for backup or unlock them on the spot. Internal Force card, Essence Energy card, Strength Enhancement card, Life Skill card, Essence Energy card. The majority of the cards were common ones. Occasionally, he would extract equipment cards and true energy cards. Until this one time he accidentally obtained a memory card. This contained 20 years of memories of a man named Huang Qian. He was not a martial artist, but just an ordinary person. He went to work every day, and his salary was neither high nor low. He did not get married or have children. His father had passed away 10 years ago and he was now sharing a life with his aged mother. Although the money he earned was not much, it was enough for his family's expenses. Ordinary looks, ordinary life, and his only hobby was fishing. Because of fishing, he had gotten to know a fishing friend. This fishing buddy was also an ordinary person, but his family was a little rich. Every time they went upstream of the Sky Water River to fish, he would drive to Huang Qian's house. The two of them met and got to know each other just like that. In the end, they shared everything. If not for the commotion in the Sky Water River before the new year, their relationship would probably have been maintained. However, after the commotion, when the two of them went upstream to fish as usual, they accidentally discovered a stone tablet and 3 strange stones on a riverbank. Both the stone tablet and the stones gave them a strange feeling. Curious, the two brought back the stone tablet and stones. To be fair, Huang Qian kept the stone tablet and his friend took the stones. After that, the two of them searched for the origins of the stone tablet and stone but found nothing. However, the two of them knew that the stones and stone tablet were not simple. For this, no one told anyone else. Only the two of them were in the know. In a flash, the new year had passed, and things changed. Photos of the stone tablet appeared online and caused a sensation. After Huang Qian and his friends saw it, they were even more certain that the stone tablet and stones were not simple. They continued to secretly hold on to them. Until last night, his friends suddenly came to him and asked him to hand over the stone tablet. He was willing to give him $1,000,000 great dollars. A stone tablet of unknown origin in exchange for $1,000,000 great dollars. Logically speaking, Huang Qian would have made a killing. With this $1 million, he no longer needed to work. He could open a small shop or buy a shop to live a leisurely life. However, Huang Qian refused. He felt that the stone tablet held a secret. It might be able to play an unexpected role in his hands. Even if he were to sell it, it would cost more than $1 million. Huang Qian was never a petty person. Since the stone tablet was priced at $1 million, the 3 stones in his friend's possession should be about the same. Therefore, he asked his friends to keep the 3 stones safe, not tell anyone else and don't get bewitched. What Huang Qian didn't know was that his friend had already been bewitched. Seeing that he couldn't get the stone tablet, the friend, emboldened by his rage, pushed Huang Qian from behind. Huang Qian, who was standing at the stairway, immediately rolled down the stairs, crashed into the wall and died. The memory ended there. After Huang Qian's death, no one knew what happened to the stone tablet in his possession. No one knew what would happen to his aged mother either. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. He decisively headed to the crematorium to look for information on the deceased. Huang Qian's information was quickly found, and so was that of his aged mother. Dead. Huang Qian and his mother were both dead. Who was the murderer? The answer was obvious. That friend called Wang Shoutao. For the sake of the stone tablet, Wang Shoutao killed Huang Qian first, then Huang Qian's mother. This fellow was clearly blinded by desire. The 3rd stone tablet, 3 soul-nurturing stones. Su Jingxing murmured as he put the files back. A mere Wang Shoutao would not have the ability to learn the secrets of the stone tablet and the soul-nurturing stones. He who was bewitched. Not good. Su Jingxing thought to himself and quickly left the crematorium. He soared into the sky and flew towards Wang Shoutao's residence. Wang Shoutao, who lived in a duplex unit, had bought a house outside for convenience. Huang Qian had been invited by Wang Shoutao to this house before and knew where it was. Su Jingxing rushed over. He entered the small estate from the air and found the corresponding level. When he locked onto the target house, he saw that the lights were still on in the room. Wang Shoutao was talking to a man. However, when Su Jingxing flew over, the man suddenly made a move. He brandished a sharp dagger and stabbed it into Wang Shoutao's chest.